Video games are serious business. Well, not all the time, but sometimes there's stuff that you're supposed to take seriously. And a lot of the time, yeah, it makes sense to. But sometimes you can't. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 video game scenes you weren't supposed to laugh at. So, before we get going, we have done a list of this before. It's called 10 video game moments you weren't supposed to laugh at. I'd highly recommend it. These are the kinds of lists I just thrive making. This is Falcon doing what Falcon was meant to do. Man, we talked about some fun games there. Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, Kingdom Hearts 2, Goofy. Sorry, I still laugh about it. And then there's all the Heavy Rain stuff, which I can't actually talk about out loud or I will just uncontrollably laugh forever. It's definitely a high quality list. It's a couple years old. We figured, you know what? Why haven't we done this again? So go check that one out, but not before this one, because we got some great stuff on this one. Without further ado, at number 10, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Are you okay? There have been many attempts to spin off Mortal Kombat. They've been all universally terrible, except Shaolin Monks, which is actually a pretty great beat 'em up. It loosely adapts the events of the first and second Mortal Kombat tournaments. Story presented, it's fine for the most part. It's a little dry compared to later attempts at this stuff, like the fantastic story modes in later Mortal Kombat games. But it does what it needs to do. It propels things forward so you can get into more fights. That's the point, right? There's one moment that stands out as particularly absurd, though. It's the Soul Tombs level. It's after either Kung Lao or Liu Kang destroy the vessel containing Shang Tsung's power. There's a cutscene where your player confronts Baraka, where your guy just stands there like a dummy while Baraka stabs a monk through the chest, stabs him again through the chest, then again in the brain, throws his corpse at you. And what's your character's response? Oh, he bends over and asks the guy if he's okay.
Are you okay?
Are you okay? That looked pretty bad. Did that hurt? Guy's got a huge hole in his head, and you're like, do you need me to run into the bathroom, get a band-aid? The guy, they just stabbed him twice in the chest, and then again in the brain. He's dead before he throws the corpse at you. That's part of how it's a corpse, might I add. I wouldn't have used the words threw his corpse at you if the guy was thriving, as I am, with this kind of a list. Oh, this is a thing of beauty. And number 9 is Call of Duty 3's This Isn't Funny, Guys. I mean, it's in the right at the start of this game. You're riding in the back of the truck. Everything's kind of calm. Everybody's kind of annoyed that they got to go do military stuff. Then you start passing through signs of fighting, and there's large groups of moving soldiers. This one guy, conveniently named Bueller, is late and is running behind the truck. I don't know. I wonder sometimes if it's intended as to be funny, but it's definitely not funny in the way that it's trying to be funny. But he goes, "Come on, guys, this isn't funny." It doesn't sound anything like that, but he gets blown up immediately.
Come on, you can make it! Come on, guys, this isn't funny!
And the truck goes over, and everybody's sort of falling on each other and going, "Gobble, gobble, gobble, gobble." It's impossible not to laugh at, for me anyways. I don't know, maybe there's other people who see this and I don't laugh, but listen to the yelling. There's enough of it that it's kind of just nonsense and you can pick out sounds. That's what it sounds like to me. To me, what I kind of think happened here is that the guy was supposed to be funny, saying, "Come on, this is funny, guys." And then it blows up and it tells you just how serious the game's gonna be. And then that's what ends up being actually funny. It kind of reminds me of that Tom Cruise Mummy movie where they uploaded the trailer without the audio tracks. So it's just like a bunch of weird yelling noises. Darn it. And number 8 is Resident Evil Code Veronica. Father! One of the many memorable characters in the Resident Evil franchise, Steve. He stands out for all the wrong reasons. First, his name is Steve. Like when you say the sentence, one of the more memorable characters in the Resident Evil franchise, Steve, it's just funny. He's also got a really shrill voice. He's got a clueless attitude, penchant for playing around with double guns like a total dweeb. He is the worst. Or depending how you look at it, the best. When he's trying to be funny, it is painfully annoying.
Why don't you send your brother the coordinates and ask him to come help?
Thanks. I'll do that.
Hey, I was just kidding.
But when things get serious, that's when he's funny. A good ways into the game, there's a really melodramatic scene where Steve finds his father that is a zombie now. So like, think of every trope you've ever heard associated with that type of a scene. Turn it way up. It's a real our knobs go to 11 moment. Yeah, there's a section where Claire shouts at Steve to shoot, and Steve is like, I can't shoot.
What's wrong, Steve? Shoot him!
Wait! I can't!
It's super screechy. Then the dad zombie attacks Claire, and in a moment of what can only be described as very high drama, Steve solemnly unloads 2 Uzis into Daddy. Oh, he cries too. Everything's over the top here, and his goofy voice acting really doesn't help. It's like a cringe masterpiece. Like, in all seriousness, the only way it could actually be worse is if he actually used the word daddy instead of father. Like, can you imagine that? Daddy, stop biting Claire. Daddy, come back. Oh, I'm sorry I shot you, Daddy. And number 7 is Call of Duty. Press F to pay respects. When just referring to the thing is hard, when it's difficult to refer to the thing, I mean, I could just say that and show a screenshot, right? That's it. That's all I have to do. But look at this moment and try not to laugh. Seriously. It's absurd, and it's only been made funnier through the years through its use and parody. The moment is not funny. It's straightforward Call of Duty storytelling. It's just an absurdly inappropriate text prompt. Like you're at a funeral, okay? You're mourning a death. Someone gave their life for freedom. This is something that in any situation outside of a video game, all we would say is thank you for your service. We would just be paying our respects by being there, right? So press F to pay respects, guys. Like, you could break down why it's funny. It kind of encapsulates the commodification of real world tragedy, or the fetishization of military service. You could do that. I don't think it's necessary, though. I think that literally with no thought, the human brain detects all of the contradictions here and can't handle them. Why F? Why the letter F? That's the thing I have asked for years. Why are you pressing F to pay respects? Why isn't it like R, like for respects? Why isn't the space bar? F, like for failure. Like, it might as well be press L, and then your guy does like the Fortnite dance with the L on his forehead over this guy's grave. Like, what the hell is going on here? Press F to pay. You're at a funeral. Isn't that what a funeral is? And number 6 is Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. Now, The Sands of Time remains a beloved classic, and a lot of that comes from the really solid writing. It was a charming game with a fairy tale-like story that kept things pretty light. So, of course, when the sequel rolls around, everything's gray and gritty. And now the prince swears, I'm the Prince of Persia. No, I don't think he ever says that. Clearly, Ubisoft wanted some God of War money. But even those games had a splash of color here and there. The reason for the prince's edgy new attitude, he's been trying to evade his fated death for years. And it's made him a cynic. He's jaded to the ways of the world. He's weird Barbie, I guess. But he comes off as less of a haunted man and more like a whiny teenager. Especially early on when he's at peak edge. The most laugh out loud moment happens pretty early during the prologue, where the prince's ship gets attacked and there's a boss fight with an armored bikini lady. Outfit even questionable at the time. But anyway, she cuts the prince's face and he responds with this petulant cry of you. See, what's fun is I'm curious if I'm gonna get bleeped but the game clip isn't, or is the game clip going to get bleeped and I'm not, or are we both getting bleeped? Because I said the F word and the B word, but I wasn't referring to a lady. The prince is. I mean, they go out of their way to make sure the ladiness is emphasized here. Look at that. Look at that bikini armor. That's a lot. So maybe that's worse. I don't know. Either way, got him. It's such a blunt and stupid thing to say. Like, combine it with the already whiny sounding voice. You got a line that sticks out like a sore thumb here. And number 5 is Back in the Hole in spy fiction. Most people know Sweary as a enigmatic director of the cult classic game, and obviously shameless Twin Peaks knockoff Deadly Premonition, but it was hardly his first game. Before that magnum opus was even a twinkle in his eye, he made Spy Fiction for the PlayStation 2. The game was it was mediocre at best, but as a source of comedy, it is one of the all-time greats. There's so many absurd stuff in this game, but let's hit one of the most unintentionally funny lines of all time, where before infiltrating the facility at the start of the game, your team leader says,
I'll go in ahead. You come in behind.
and then they both go inexplicably.
Back in the hole. Back in the hole.
Like, what? What are we talking? What is happening? Like the blank face, the weird stilted delivery, and the obvious, seemingly unintentional double entendre is amazing. But I'll say this. There are 3 scenarios regarding the QA testing of this game. Firstly, that they didn't QA test this game. Because if anybody saw this, they definitely died laughing. Second scenario, the QA testers died laughing, but did not want this removed from the game, so they said nothing. Or thirdly, the QA testers died laughing, told the people making the game, who then also died laughing and left it in the game, because there's no chance that somebody from the outside saw this and no one was alerted. And number 4 is Alone in the Dark, the dramatic conclusion of the game. To call the ending of the PS3, Xbox 360 era Alone in the Dark weak, it'd be an understatement. This thing's malnourished. I've played a whole lot of games where it's obvious they just rushed through the conclusion to meet like a deadline, or just didn't know what to do and didn't have the time to figure out what to do. But few games just give up at the finish line like this one. At the end, you're given these 2 nonsensical choices. Either you kill your friend, who's also a girl who gets possessed by Satan out of nowhere, or don't kill her. Both endings are short and relatively terrible, but the true embarrassment comes with a bad ending where Carnby kills the girl only to find himself possessed by Satan, and then he shouts,
I'm the light bringer. I'm the universe.
in the most embarrassing possible way. Listen, James McCaffrey is a legend. He is awesome as Max Payne, but at his best, he cannot salvage the ridiculous crap they make him say in this game. Another classic comes near the start of the game where a possessed person yells at him, "Give me the stone!" And Carnby responds with, "I don't have your stone, and you anyway."
Now give me my stone. I don't have your stone, and you anyway.
Again, I'm really interested in the bleeping conventions that are established in this one. Like, I can't tell you whether it would be funnier with or without the bleeps, but I can tell you that all of these instances, whether you remember them or you go back to them in these clips, they're like the funniest thing. And moving on to number 3, EE's death scene in Metal Gear Solid 2 might be divisive to say this, and I'm sorry if it is, but there is something very awkwardly funny about this whole segment in Metal Gear Solid 2. The actual death, not that funny, but I can't help myself from laughing at Otacon here. Maybe because it's a less effective repeat of the Sniper Wolf death scene in the first game. I mean, of course, like, Metal Gear Solid 2 is super meta, and I understand why they would do those types of things, but that doesn't make it not that. But it could just be that Otacon is dramatically yelling the letter E twice and crying. Maybe it's just the crying. I don't know. Kojima's always treading that fine line between goofy and serious, and I think like whether or not things cross the line is pretty subjective here, but this scene gets brought up a lot when people talk about unintentionally funny moments, so I'm not the only one who laughs at this.
EE? Damn!
I don't know. Maybe my brain is melted beyond recognition, but I can't say for sure whether this Solid Snake and Otacon ultimate white guy fist bump moment, I can't tell you if it's supposed to be funny or it's not supposed to be funny. It is funny. I am laughing, but I don't know. Like, there's so few people in the world that can manage that. Kojima is like the king of it. But like the EE thing, it's so bizarre. The parrot, Otacon's melodramatic voiceover, it's too much. It's ridiculous. At least for me. And number 2, the shocking conclusion of crying is not enough. This is one of those no one's gonna argue about it once. Crying is not enough is one of those bad games, but it has ambition. You can tell whoever made it really wanted to tell a dramatic story that makes you think. There's like a Nietzsche quote at the loading screen, so the game's smart, right? Well, as it turns out, with most people who pad things with Nietzsche quotes, it's extremely dumb. I'm not a big fan of Nietzsche anyway, but I appreciate the ambition. That said, comes crashing down in the climax. Actually, arguably before that, but really at the climax, when our hero confronts his father about all the spooky zombie business. While Dad monologues, our hero's wife is outside with her finger on the button. Her family wants revenge against the good guy's family for some reason, like they're persecuted, and they secretly snuck a bomb into the main character's chest, which, I mean, if I had $1 for every time somebody snuck something into my chest, I'd have $0. None. Not a one. Not a single dollar. It's a good thing that is not my pay scale. But in the ultimate moment of drama, the wife decides, I choose the abyss, and activates the bomb. Fool! Then the whole building blows up, and there's this really sad, like, over-the-top piano music. It's the only way we'd even know the moment's supposed to be sad, because all this stuff is revealed in the course of a minute at breakneck pace. Impossible not to laugh at. And then as a little treat, the final shocking moment happens where our main guy's blank mannequin head flies out of the building and rolls towards the camera. Out of context, this looks like an intentionally shitty parody of something, but it is not. It is not a parody of something. It is something meant to be dead serious. I don't think you could do this. You could pull off this kind of comedy on purpose. It's like that level. And finally, at number 1, and it's really gonna have to take the cake here, and it does. Oh, it does. Wild Arms 4, the kids good, adults bad Wild Arms, is a pretty goofy game overall, even as far as third-string JRPGs from the mid-2000s go, but in one glorious moment near the end of the game, it transcends its mostly forgotten status and enters the pantheon of the most unintentionally absurd games of all time. Right from the start, you're probably wondering why this little JRPG boy is fighting a jet, and yeah, that's ridiculous, but the real madness begins when Good Guy Gone's jet gets destroyed by missiles. That's pretty funny in itself, but he jumps out and starts shooting missiles out of the sky with 2 revolvers, just jumping around through the air like a total badass.
Wasn't it all to protect the future of our world and the people who live in it? Damn you, Lambda! Answer me! You have to listen to me. I won't let you destroy what you sought to protect, even if I have to turn my guns against you.
So ridiculous, but there are no superpowers in Wild Arms, so he's not like Super Saiyan or anything. There's no explanation of how he's just sort of flying around. He just is. I guess with the propulsion of his handguns? I don't know. But with only 1 missile left and no ammo, he makes the ultimate sacrifice by punching a rocket that is headed for the good guy plane, and it explodes in his face. And that's not the most absurd thing. Then he gets a full dramatic send-off after being blown up point blank with a missile. It is like a parody of melodramatic JRPG deaths. Everyone in here, everything, nothing, it's so over the top and silly. It's impossible not to laugh, especially like the reaction shots. They're actually what make me laugh the hardest. It cuts to purple-haired guy with his mouth gaping wide open. I don't know why that's the funniest part to me, but everything is so funny. I mean, look at him, like, right after he's blown up by the missile. He's so at peace. He's got that, I did the right thing. I will be remembered fondly look on his face. It's so much. It's so much. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.